I recognize you.
Oh, Todd's here.
All right. So would anybody like to introduce themselves either online or in person? Eric, did you introduce yourself last week?
I don't think I did.
Eric, right?
It is, yeah.
Thank goodness for Zoom labels.
Yeah. Wow. Made an impression.
You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, Eric McClure. I'm working on a startup and gonna pitch next week, which will be exciting just to get some feedback. It'll be the first time pitching it in public, so see how that goes. Thanks.
Anybody online want to introduce themselves? Todd, you haven't been here in a while. Do you want to introduce yourself? It's like, I can't
Where's the
unmute.
damn mute button?
Putting me on spot here. I was looking at something else.
Say that'll get you.
My name is Todd Cornell, and yeah, I haven't been here for a while. I was talking with Natalie about doing a talk about my upcoming book that I'm releasing, and then I saw that today Ariana was sharing, and she's read my book, and I just wanted to hop in and be cordial. So.
Well, glad
What's your
you're
book?
here. Glad to see you. And Ashley, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ashley DePaulis. I'm here in Denver. I think you all are around the area or maybe up in Boulder.
Or Colin?
And yeah, in Colorado. I'm sorry.
Fort Collins.
Oh, okay. I am an embodied success expert and coach, and I work with small businesses. So
Excellent. Thank you. I guess I realized I didn't introduce myself. I'm Leandra Foster, and I am the coffee host with my company, Elon Life. And we also want to thank Elevations Credit Union for letting us use their space indefinitely. Do you have any other sponsors?
That's it for now.
Okay, all right. Any announcements, anything coming up in the community that we should know about?
So I did have something. As part of my Business of the Month recognition from the Chamber of Commerce, they gave me a free 30-second spot on 5 different stations in Northern Colorado, and it's airing today. I got the notice this morning, and she's like, yeah, I forgot to tell you, but it's like today. So on the 5 stations are New Country 99.1, Retro 102.5, the X 94.3, the Point 99.9, and Power 102.9. So if you listen to any of those stations, check it out. When it'll air, I have no
I was
idea.
gonna say, and that's a lot of pressure to figure out what you're gonna say for 30 seconds.
Well, what happened is she interviewed me for about 3 minutes, and then they cut it into a 30-second spot. So I didn't have to do any hard work. They
Oh,
just,
nice.
there's like, tell us about your business and who are you and what got you into this? And, you know, then they chop out some pieces. So I got like 3 sentences in. That was about it.
Nice. All right. Any other community events? Anything else coming up?
I know Loveland's holding for the whole month, different business seminars. If you go to the Loveland Chamber
Oh, Loveland Chamber.
Loveland
Yeah.
Chamber,
or the LBC, the Loveland,
LBGC.
yeah.
Oh,
Business.
okay. So that's not the chamber.
No, it's not Chamber. Well, it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
But they're doing various talks throughout the month. Go to the website and take a look, a lot of stuff.
Desk Chair is also hosting some of the Made in Loveland one
Yeah, that's what it is, Brian. Thanks.
piece. So it's Desk Chair as well. It may also be the Loveland Business Development Center, which is a subset partner of Larimer County's small business.
Anything else? All right, well, if not, we will get started with James. I did not do my job this morning. James Campbell, there we go. So much to think about. James Campbell with Energetics Health. And James' fun fact for the day is that he took his girlfriend to Tijuana and lost her for 20 years, but he did find her eventually, it sounds like.
She found me.
Oh, she found him. I don't know why she tried. You lose me, I'm not looking for you. All right, so James,
Cartel.
go ahead and you should be good to share your screen. Which one are you considering this the main camera, Stephen? Got so many of them.
Just the one that sees the screens and the computers and you two right now on the screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the one in the back of the room there.
The community room one.
No, I think it's just FC community room. That one.
I don't know if we can do anything
I know,
about
I don't
focus.
either.
Where's Chris? When you need it?
Zoom in or out. Does this make a difference?
It's not changing it at all.
I didn't think so. Okay. We can't do anything, Stephen.
Oh, well,
That's all right. I know what all you look like anyway.
Close-up camera.
Here, we'll just use.
Yeah.
Get the second, don't move.
I'm walking while you present.
That's what she said in Tijuana.
20 years later, she moved.
Okay, so, where are we, Marcus? Marcus,
yeah, so you gotta share your screen.
Yes, he does.
It's not touchscreen, is it? Got it. You can't find your mouse.
Isn't it an option I have as co-host?
Not to turn on someone's screen share, you can turn it off.
Oh.
Turn on everyone's desktop. What are you looking at?
Are you paying attention?
No.
That would be so fun. I would love that for the students.
You can, well, they do have options that are designed for classrooms, including things like if students cannot turn their camera off. So they do have options like that. You gotta go kind of deep.
So I'll start off with the questions that I'm going to ask you at the end. Things that we could use some help with today are, is our messaging clear? Because we're going to throw some things at you you probably have never heard of. Is the client experience understandable? And would you or someone you know benefit from our program? So this is aimed at investors. So everybody put in there or get in the investor chair and take out your wallets, please. So Energetics Health, I'm going to introduce that to you tonight or today. And what we're offering is a health and wellness program that's very different than traditional medicine. It's based on a customized set of blood tests, not anything that you can get anywhere else. That's part of our IP. And customized analysis by people who are experienced in a whole body approach and a holistic approach to healthcare. And it's very much based on preventative care. I always say that in the US, we practice sick care, not healthcare. So that's what we're trying to eliminate. So this is my partner Heidi and I, and we both came to Energetics as a way for us to deal with personal health issues. Nothing super serious, but in my case, this little background, I owned a design and branding firm for 25 years. It's my third startup. And a few years ago, I was diagnosed with needing a liver transplant, which scared the hell out of me. So I was looking for a different way to deal with that and went through the Energetics program. I still do it, years later. And I've seen about a 15% improvement in my liver function, and I am off the transplant list, so it works. Here's your scary fact of the day. 200 million people in the US currently have at least one chronic disease, and that's 60 something percent. That should scare the hell out of all of us. The numbers are, I'm not going to bore you with them tonight, but the numbers are pretty scary when you get down to specific conditions like diabetes, heart disease, that sort of thing. So we look at what we call integrated care as having three components: mind, body, and self. And you hear a lot about that in a lot of marketing pitches, but what we're talking about is a deep dive into all three because they need to work together. So this is the customer journey. There's a consult. Then you go for our customized lab tests. We provide an analysis. Then there's a roadmap that's set and an action plan. And you do this 2 times a year is the intention. Our primary competition, everybody says, well, every healthcare system does this. Why don't they all do it? Well, it's all marketing bullshit is what it is. Kaiser's Thrive program has been around for 15 years now, something like that. And all they do is they point you to a different door and say, okay, go over there, you've got a weight problem, whatever. So when we look at our market, which is going to be to work within large healthcare systems, we're aiming to supplement what they deliver currently, or what they say they deliver. We've done a market study, and that's fairly expected, I guess is the way to put it. And the numbers start to get very big. This is a comparison of 4 IDNs, and an IDN is an integrated delivery network. And those are companies that can provide the insurance and the care. And there are very few of them, with the VA being the largest. But even if you take the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, their numbers end up being very big, but a very small chunk of what we're used to. Our go-to-market strategy, which we'll to get some input on today, would be to do an early adopters program. We want to sign up 50 people and have them go through the process and get some results on what they felt about the results that they got and the process itself. Our team is based, this is all US based and licensed. All the medical people are MDs that are not. This is not alternative medicine. That's a very important thing. This is based on proven science that goes back to the 1930s. So think about, what you'd like to see in a healthcare system. And we're the only company that I'm aware of that offers this holistic approach to the entire body as a system. There's a lot of companies that will deal with diabetes and women's health issues and pieces of it, but we're looking at the entire system. So again, the questions, have we made the problem and solution message clear? Is the lab testing and analysis process concise and understandable? We tried to simplify everything down to, there are 5 steps to do this. That's all you need to know. Would you or someone, benefit from the program? And is there anybody in your network that we might be talking with to expand our team? Obviously, investment, etc. Thank you.
So before you got into your slide, you were at 6:05, so great job with that. Does anyone want to get us started?
Yeah, so I had a little bit of feedback as well as a question. So the feedback, you did spend a fair bit of time looking at and talking to the screen. And I assumed that you had the slide in front of you. And so there was no reason for you to not look at the audience. Because when you're talking to the screen, then maybe we can't hear you so clearly and it feels like you're maybe a little less engaged. The question that I had, you gave messages of this is done in cooperation with my current medical providers, but then my current medical providers are also your competition. And so I did not really see how you resolve that inherent conflict of, you know, if I go and do a contract with you, is my doctor going to be happy that I did that? And is he going to look at the information you provided, stuff like that?
Well, the first question about looking at the screen, we weren't able to get my presenter notes in front of me, so I was winging it.
That's fine. That's what most people do.
Right. So in answer to your second question, we originally started as a direct-to-consumer product, and my goal was keep the doctors out of it from the traditional systems, because they never agree with osteopathic doctors, which are MDs. They're just trained in this type of thing. And osteopath doesn't mean brittle bones. That's an osteopath is this complete system sort of thing. So they never agree. So to say that that they'd be working together, there's going to be limited time with that. My healthcare through Denver Health, they don't have an osteopath on staff. They've got one person who comes in, but I can't sign them up as my primary. So I have to go through my primary, who happens to know the osteopath, and she has to ask questions. So we're going to run into problems like that. But it's just part of it. So I see it as, you know, like the Thrive program at Kaiser. You walk in the door and it doesn't say Kaiser, it says Thrive by Kaiser. And I could see the same thing happening for us. So it's a separate product.
Okay, we're going to move on to Stephen.
Yeah, great presentation, James. The only thing I would, you asked for the potential, or you said that it was a investor pitch. What would be helpful, or at least worth considering, is a timeline for investors, because when you've got, you mentioned, you know, the 50 people you want to get on board coming up, and where is that going to go? And as an investor, if you're pitching this, you've got your 6 minutes and you want me to say, okay, I need to call James back later and talk about this. I want to be excited, right? As an investor, I want to be excited about that. So having a little bit more of a timeline and an exit strategy, even if it's just a sliver or a vision of an exit strategy, something where, you know, the investors can be excited about the technology and your passion for the concept, but then also, what am I going to get out of it as an investor? So that's my 2 cents. Great job.
Thanks. Just quick response to that is we do have an exit strategy. We have a slide for it, that sort of thing. I've since day one been fighting to get to this to whatever time they give me. You know, we started off with a minute, then we went to 3 minutes, then we went to 5, and I've done it in 15 minutes, and that's really comfortable, but it's difficult to get everything in.
All right, Todd, and then Ariana.
Hi, thanks, James. Interesting concept. I like it. I'm actually I like Kaiser Permanente, and so that's something that, you know, makes sense to me. A couple things that I noticed while I was watching you and listening through the whole first part of the presentation, I was wondering, what are your qualifications? Because there was no mention whatsoever of qualifications all the way until the end where you started to talk about your doctors. For me, I think it would have been a lot better if you had moved all of that up front and talked about your team first. So then I had that established understanding of, oh, okay, you're like doing this with people who are qualified. Because I was looking at your qualifications and at your your co-founders' qualifications, and neither one of you seemed to have any medical qualifications. So that's something that I think would have helped. And I think that if you could pick up your pace a little bit too, and it might be because you were reading your notes, but because I'm not there, so I can't see that interaction, that if you look a little bit more passionate, or if you come off a little bit more excited, that it would probably help to also increase that sense of excitement and interest in your product.
Great feedback. Thanks.
All right, Ariana.
Hi, I'm in the room. I agree with Stephen's feedback about, like, if this was a pitch to investors, I didn't feel the ask of investors in there. I felt like it was effective as a pitch for the end user. And like, I personally identify as a potential 50-person candidate, having received a scary diagnosis just 2 weeks ago. So I'm like in a place of feeling really disillusioned with the medical system, really frustrated that, like, I'm not being given an opportunity to look at my situation holistically. And I'm so intrigued by what I'm hearing. I'm like, yes, sign me up. Like, so that is just, you know, for you to know, like, it's sitting well with someone that's in that place of, how the fuck am I going to get through this? And are my doctors really going to help me the way I want them to?
Yeah, and you hit some great points there. If we ever were to dive into the market study, you're the poster child for.
So not surprising. I'm happy to give you more data.
Yes. And we didn't do like a survey monkey thing.
Right.
One of our team members is a behavioral psychologist and a statistician. If you ever meet anybody who can do those two things, you know, you got somebody special on your hands. But yeah, you hit exactly on who we're after as the end user.
So, and I think that there's something to the pitch then as well that you can add with the fact, like, what is the size of the market segment of people like me that have this disillusionment with the system, that are choosing, like, do I stay in traditional medical care or do I go to alternative? And what does that cost the conventional medical care system? And how can, like, you position yourself and your business to recoup that cost for them as part of your positioning?
So rather than have you answer that, I want to get to Dane, Marcus, and then I'll wrap us up so that we can switch and Ariana can have a chance to.
Yeah, James, thanks for presenting. You kind of lost me when you started talking about your competitors, because you started talking about them negatively. And when you can talk about your competitors positively, then it makes me feel like I'm getting an objective comparison. You're saying, this is what they do, this is what I do that's different. Instead of, they don't know what they're doing, I do. And so it kind of goes back to Todd's comment on credibility. It's like, well, why should I listen to you versus Kaiser, right? So instead of that comparison between your competitors, what do they do well, but what do you do better?
Marcus.
Great, thanks.
Well, and to follow up on Dane's comment, this actually wasn't my original comment, but a slightly different framing there, just like you with your osteopath with down in Denver. The system is incomplete. You are bringing the remaining pieces to the table, and one of the reasons we don't deal with preventative care so well in this country is because no one's doing it. I want to do it. I want to finish building the rest of the puzzle so we have something effective. Quick comment. Dump the stock photos with the watermarks.
Yeah.
The first chance you get.
One page.
Yeah,
They're
well.
expensive images.
Go to Canva then.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the rest of this opportunity goes, but my opportunity hairs are standing up in the back of my neck of, as time goes on and as you grow, you are going to collect a vast amount of data that you can, process, and I always butcher the word, but render that data anonymatize, I believe.
Ask the word girl in front of you.
So
I'm trying.
it'll be very interesting to see over time if you give people recommendations for, say, a supplement plan or whatever else, is as the years go on at the 5 or 10 year mark of energetics, you're going to have such a massive amount of data that will reshape how we think about preventative care, because you'll be collecting hundreds of thousands or millions of individual patient profiles that you can track against interventions. And it'll all be under your roof. I don't know how you apply that, but it should open many interesting doors.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap us up so that we can refill our coffee. The last thing I wanted to say is, it does seem like we perhaps have a similar target market. And I would want more detail. There was too big of a jump for me between the problem slide and the solution side, that I needed to know a little more detail of, like, how would, because I work with naturopaths, I work with nutrition consultants, how would they actually use this? So that would be my last piece. All right, so with that, get your second cup of coffee. Ariana, you can get set up, and thank you, James.
Thank you, Jen. So Jenny, you need to get yourself a little name tag that says Jenny Morris, the word girl.
Word girl.
Yeah.
Is that apparently is your tagline?
One of my really good friends here is, calls herself a word nerd.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun fact.
That's what her
I can
title
twist
says.
Yeah, well, it's memorable, right? So.
It is. What is
There
it?
you go.
Okay,
Anonymous.
Yeah,
See, and like I've seen
Just
this.
threw in an extra.
yeah, he just kept going. Lots more
He
syllables.
was going for
Oh, I
50
shared
cent
that,
per.
sorry. Okay, it's.
you're in person.
I know, and I was
Scrabble
like,
more
yeah.
Words more
I
often
did have-
and use them in conversation.
That's everybody.
And I have
That's
no
active,
idea,
Passive vocabulary.
and I have no idea how to say
That's, everybody has. it. Everybody has. it.
I've been reading Lord of the Rings now.
It's just very confusing.
To be in person and
And on
Zoom.
Zoom.
I know.
I'm learning so many
And I'm
new
gonna-
words, especially.
All right.
They're not.
Can I run to the restroom real quick? Good time.
I'm
No.
not- words are
Okay.
always-
I will survive.
It's only 6 minutes. Well, 20.
20 after questions.
All right, so we have Ariana Friedlander as our second speaker today with her company Rosabella Consulting. And this is more of an educational talk, right?
Yes.
Than more of an ask per se.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interactive,
Yes.
conversational.
Okay, so Ariana's fun fact is that she is the height of efficiency. And so when it comes to eating, she says fork that.
That was her twist.
That was her
Interesting twist. I hold my fork wrong is the fun fact.
Oh,
Right.
Like this?
I hold it like this because you can really shovel so much more efficiently. And I don't care about, the rest because I'm a misfit. Some of you already know that about me. So I'm just, I shared earlier, I got a scary diagnosis a few weeks ago. So I'm not in a position of I have the emotional bandwidth to pitch this morning. I do have the emotional bandwidth to banter and to, just share some educational insights and lessons learned. And to start, I'm curious to hear who here has an aspiration for a future that looks different than their current circumstances. Maybe you want to change something about your life, your work. Maybe you want to improve something. I mean, it looks like everyone but Marcus has aspirations. Not
tracks.
surprising. Just kidding. I can tell he was thinking about which one. I think that this is part of our human condition, right? It's a blessing and a curse of our shared humanity that we have the ability to grow and to change and to improve. And that's both wonderful and it can be a little bit stressful sometimes, you know, like there's just so much to address and work on, and where do you start? So I'm going to share a little bit about my journey as an entrepreneur in that vein. And to help set the context, I think that's how I go to the next slide. Let's see. There we go. To help set the context, I have this quote from James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. Right. And so we think about that future person we're aspiring to be, and we think about where we are today. And it begs the question, who are your actions voting for? And so I reflect on this question. I go back to when I started my journey as, oh, there's the question for you. I go back to when I started my journey as an entrepreneur about 11 years ago. And I did everything I should do. I mean, I was still a little bit of a misfit, you know, obviously, but I did, like, I got my logo, I did my branding, I worked really hard. I, you know, peddled my services. I did all of these things, but at the same time, my morning routine consisted of things like, you know, getting out of bed, checking my email, and drinking copious amounts of coffee, and eventually maybe eating breakfast by lunchtime, if I was lucky. I managed my day-to-day by deciding, you know, what I felt like doing when. And needless to say, that did not work out well for me. One of the other things that was a really bad habit early on in my business was that I made decisions about what I invested in based out of fear. It was all like this is what I should do. And on top of it, I had this story going on in my head of, if I don't do this, if I don't sign up for this networking group, if I don't join this program, my business is gonna fail. And so that was the reason I made decisions about what I would do in my business. What happened was I got into this really like horrible cycle where I was scared. I felt like I had to do this thing, like sign up for a program. I did it and I didn't get the results I expected because I was doing it out of fear. I was doing it based on what I thought I should do. And so that cycle just kind of reinforced for me, I'm better doing it myself. So I went through a period of like, I'll just do it all myself because these programs aren't giving me the results I expect. And that kind of was a shitty place to be. I've already cursed once today, so I might as well just roll with it. I'm from Philly. So fast forward a few years into my business, this picture was actually taken at the last in-person Fort Collins Startup Week. February 2019, the last time we had fun in person without being scared of dying. And I was in a completely different place because I had changed a lot of my daily habits. I no longer was the person that rolled out of bed, checked email, and drank copious amounts of coffee. Yeah, I had a completely different morning routine. Like all of these small changes were starting to add up. I journal in the morning, I meditate. I only drink 1 cup of coffee after I've eaten breakfast. You know, like all of these small habits, I manage my day-to-day actions by planning them out in my journal. I don't just like wing what I'm gonna do. I know exactly what I'm gonna do when. And I did something else drastic in the beginning of 2019. I started to make decisions about what to invest in to grow my business. And then you know what happened? COVID. Right? It happened to all of us and business just went poof, dried up like faster than water on a sidewalk in our climate. That dries really fast. And so rather than stick with my old habits, that those actions that were not voting for the successful entrepreneur I wanted to be, I didn't do those things. In the past, I would have said, oh, I can't invest in myself until I know where my next paycheck's coming from. Can't do these things until I like have a new business lined up. But I didn't do that. I invested in myself. I found a coach that I could work with that helped me get out of some really unhealthy loops that I was stuck in. And I continued just investing in myself, doing professional development programs, and learning how to improve my business and to systemize things. And you know what happens? 2021, wait, yeah, was that 2021? Was the best year of my business yet. And we were still dealing with COVID, y'all. I guess that was 2020 when COVID started. I get really confused. So it's pictures from 2020, not 2019. So it's just really begs that question, who are you voting for with your actions? And that's my question for you today, is to really consider, who are you voting for? What investments are you making in yourself and in your business? Who's on your team? Who's helping you make those subtle, small shifts like I did with my morning routine, with how I plan my day, with how I make decisions? I no longer make decisions based on fear. In fact, and this is what I told my doctor last week, I'm not making this decision right now because I'm all like, you freaked me the fuck out. So I'm gonna think about this. And I do the same with my business, right? I don't just like force those decisions. I sit with it and I think, and I pay attention. Am I making this decision out of fear? Is it heavy? Is it weighing me down? Or is it light? Is it full of possibilities? And am I excited about it? And when I make decisions from that place, the results are just completely different. I'm voting for the person, the entrepreneur, and the leader I want to be. What about you? Yeah.
You're a great speaker. It's really fun to watch you. You're super engaging. Two things of feedback though that I think would add even more is I was with you the whole way, but it was your experience so much that if you could bridge that gap and just put us in that position to make ask a question that really kind of makes us think of a specific problem perhaps, so that then all of a sudden I'm in that chair, and then call us to action. Because this part of, what are you voting on is so vague. I was waiting for you to be like, great, now do this, like write 10 things down, or just some simple call to action, which really brings us into it more.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic presentation. I don't even know what you do, but somehow I want to hire you to do something to help me, right? And so I don't know how you did that, but very well done. Ditch the clipboard. You never looked at it. I don't know why you're holding it.
Because this is now if you want to stay in touch with me.
There's the call to action.
You can sign up to get, inspiration and actionable insights in your inbox to become the leader that you aspire to be 5 times a week.
I'm raising my hand. I'm like, wait, I'm the moderator.
Would you like me to call on you, Leanna?
I'll call Leandra. Oh, thank you.
I do facilitate all the time. So.
I actually do want to echo that, because I've written you back. Actually, I'm already on your list, and I've written you back a couple times where I'm like, I loved the point of this. I love, to Eric's point, like,
yeah,
you communicate so clearly and you make such excellent points. And I still don't exactly know what you do. I think I kind of do, where I was telling you about her previously.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Ariana does hard conversations, I think.
Among other things, yes.
And so, and I think that's the one thing that I would love to hear in your communications everywhere is, and I actually just got this for myself, and it has helped me every time I am speaking. I'm like, am I driving home that point?
Right.
And so what is the outcome that you are providing to your clients? Because that's the one piece that is always missing. Because I'm like, this is a great article. I still don't know who to refer to you who to refer to you.
Right.
Because I know you do great work, but I don't.
Great writer, great presenter.
Yes.
So on conveying what she does.
Yes. So what are the symptoms? What are the symptoms that I'm looking for, so I can be like, you need Ariana?
Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
Since it's come up a few times. So I'm a misfit. So like I'm, I kick when you try to put me in a box. as was
You put your
evidenced by the earlier picture. But so, but
clients in a box? You don't have to.
no,
be in
I
a
don't
box.
put my
Just
clients
them
in a box. I keep them out. But so this is kind of the pitch I've been experimenting with recently, because I've been doing a lot of research into my clients and whom I serve best and who I like to serve. Important detail. And so really I help leaders that are feeling frustrated or annoyed and disappointed with their collaborative partnerships shift to experiencing confidence, calm, and control as they collectively celebrate their accomplishments, turning ideas into innovations. I don't know how that like clarifies it, right? Because that's the struggle, yeah. So then it's like, it's coaching, it's training, it's facilitation. And the clients I best work with individually and as teams, I love to do both, like individual coaching and working with teams. Essentially what I find are like leaders that know better, but can't do better.
Okay.
And
I
so
like-
it's like
I
they
like
keep
that one
yelling
better.
at people in their team, or they keep like shutting down in meetings, or they keep like, they know that they need to be showing up different. And they like even set that intention. Okay, this time I'm not gonna lose it on Jimmy. And then they lose it on Jimmy, or they don't speak their mind. They hold it in. And they're just like frustrated and tired of
Those
that.
are fabulous examples.
Yeah.
Those are excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Madison.
Oh, sorry. I'm used to facilitating. It's in my hands.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madison. I'm relatively new to 1 Million Cups. I joined last week, but just so you all know who I am again. I thought this presentation was incredible. I've been eating my breakfast this whole time, but your voice inflection specifically gave me chills. It was a very personal story, and it kind of reminded me of that old saying, it's like what wolf wins, the one that you feed. Kind of your intentions directly affect, how your day goes. So I definitely resonated with this. So I just wanted to say great job. And you had a great way of connecting, even though when I'm sitting all the way back in Denver. So nice job.
Thank you, Madison. And I feel like I should go to the thank you slide in case people that are virtual want to.
It's a good
You hold
newsletter, believe me.
Yeah.
So,
Eric, Eric.
Shit, what was no, on your thing, you started to dive in, you had a scripted one sentence pitch, which was so wordy, like it just needs to be so simple.
Great.
And I think in parallel to like bridging the gap between you and us, you have in your mind, you've said a few times that you've got a few people that you've liked working with. Just pick some real examples of other people's problems,
Yeah.
OPP, right? And just lay that out and how you solved it. Because I
Okay.
think that'll help everyone else connect.
Right. Okay. So like I could say, for example, Freddie was promoted into a leadership position. He was so excited about it. This is still taking too long. I can tell already.
Yes, already.
But so Freddie in a leadership position, taking stress home and not being the leader. No, okay.
Freddie was stressed out and I helped him de-stress.
Yeah.
Freddie
okay.
wasn't a good communicator. I helped him with his communication. Just
Okay.
really simple.
Okay.
Carl, go ahead.
Simple's not my
Yeah.
choice.
So I like the fact that you left the big question up there on the screen for an extended time. Who are you voting for?
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. Because it gave me time to sort of roll the concepts around in my mind. Because if we say, who are you voting for? You first go to like a political context and it's like, no, wait a minute, that's not what she's talking about. Okay, and then why is she using the word who as opposed to what are you voting for in your actions? It's like, oh, that's an interesting twist on it. And then it's like, no way, she's talking about who in the sense of who are you going to become? Okay, so who is the future self that you're voting for, right? And so it was nice to give it time to mull around there while you were talking about it. I wasn't sure whether it would be useful to explain some of those things a little bit more. It's like, when I say, who are you voting for? I mean, I'm talking about your future self. What are you going to turn into? At least that's the way I interpreted it. I hope
Yeah.
it's kind of close.
Well, you usually get me, Carlos.
Yeah.
So I
I'm a
actually,
misfit. So no, it's great seeing you again after 2 years.
I think, yes, agreed. I think that that's an excellent point, and that actually may be kind of what you do is that you help people become the leader they know they can be.
Yeah.
right? Not the one that they're being, but
Yeah.
the one that they know they can be. And that's sort of the who,
That's exactly
who
it.
are you
Yeah,
voting for? You help them become that person.
Yeah.
So this,
the one you know you can be, but don't know how.
yeah, there you go. Like become the leader that you know you can be, but
Yeah.
don't know.
Or you want to
Like,
be.
you don't know how,
Yeah,
like,
that was
just
something
like,
we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Just, I thought about that question a lot too, doing the word stuff, and I think.
Oh,
it's-
right. Our word,
I think the word girl.
our word,
Word girl.
what's another W? I don't want to say witch, that just
Word-
seems.
woman,
Word wizard.
Word wizard, there we go.
Awesome.
She's like, oh, I got called a witch this morning.
But I think the question might be a which question. It's which you are you voting for?
Oh, that's interesting.
So, I mean, you can.
So
do-
witch is back in it.
Which you are you voting for? Because I think the way it's framed, it's too hard. Because I was struggling with just the way that it was on the screen. I'm not quite getting, I know what you're talking about, but the question was missing part of it. I think it has to be like, which you are you voting for?
then maybe that's your tagline. Maybe that's, for the leader
What was the one that was up there? I don't even.
who,
I can go back, I think.
Who are
It doesn't-
you voting
Who are you
for?
voting for?
Okay,
Your
But
options.
who are you voting for goes to that political. And
Yeah.
it's which you are you voting for with your actions.
Marcus, and then last one.
Thought for you on helping further define your market or the people you want to work with is when do you excel the most in the morale cycle? And I bring that up because other than the projects I'm involved with right now, looking back on both my professional and my volunteer career, I've basically stepped off sinking ships that have always eaten themselves. Like I've watched the
Ouroboros
organization.
is sinking.
Yeah, I've watched the organization consume itself from the inside, and the final step of that is almost always morale.
Okay. That's not till the final step.
Well, there's, yes, because a lot of almost all of them were presented with a challenge that, at least personally speaking, being the spreadsheet guy that I am, I guess I want to say, was survivable from a financial standpoint. We could have tightened our belts. Pragmatically, there were things we could have done to survive. And it was ultimately a lack of buy-in, and it was morale that killed almost all of those efforts because people disengaged, walked away, whatever else. It all fell apart, not because it was truly an impossible task, but because people didn't have the stomach, trust, or appetite to see us through to the other end of a crisis. So that's why I ask is, where do you think you do your best work, right? Is it actually before crisis emerges to build a strong team that trusts each other? Is it kind of on the downswing? Is it kind of on the upswing? Where are you at? Where do you do your best work on that timeline?
I've done my best with it being on the downswing and upswing. So I would say that my answer to that would be when there's still hope present. So you can be in crisis mode and still have hope.
Before you see the ship is sinking.
But yeah, before you're at that point of I'm out. Like if you're in shutdown mode, don't bring me in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Walk away. Walk away. So confusing. Walk away, you're on Zoom. All right, so
I will turn off those.
you stop sharing for her,
Of
or
course.
one of you. She can or you can, yeah, okay. So who has a win for this week or a resource to share, or who needs help?
I have a win.
Ariana has a win. Yes, Ariana for the win. Yes.
I hired a virtual assistant and she started this week and I
Hey.
love her.
Yay.
And it's so fantastic. And now when you get my emails, I'm not the one who hit publish and send. I'm so excited.
Anyone else with a win? Someone who needs some
Right here,
support?
right here.
Ding, ding, ding.
It was a good week. Yeah, I had a referral from one of my coaches to someone he works with, and instead of waiting for him to reach out, I tried something new and I said, do you think I could just reach out? And so I did, I connected with him and he said, hey, perfect timing, let's meet tomorrow. I said, okay. And then within 5 minutes, he wanted me as his coach and I just had to not talk him out of it over the next 30-minute meeting. And then we started yesterday for a 12-week
Wow.
engagement. So, yeah. And then the same guy who referred me, like publicly on Facebook and LinkedIn, gave me a shout out. And that's never happened. So last night I was like doing social public relations. Like, I need to reshare this. What do I do? What do I say?
Oh, people love me. People love me.
Yes,
So that's been fun.
way to go.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Karen has a one. So is Todd.
Oh, wow. Hi, everyone. This is my second meeting with you guys. So the last time you guys saw me, I was still a newbie. I was starting as a for-profit organization, but now as of November, I launched my nonprofit and I got my nonprofit status as of Monday.
Anybody else? Wins, resources, need help? Anyone need a VA? Because it sounds like Ariana has a great one.
No,
I don't know that she's
Yeah.
gonna share.
All mine.
Where'd you find?
A referral from a friend
Yeah,
that had worked with her before.
that's the best.
Yeah, and I'm her only client. And she likes it that way.
I know.
All right, well then, with that, we will wrap up. So for those of you in person, the mask mandate ends February 12th, so we can be nakeder next week. And we can actually see each other and know who we are. So if that's been preventing you from coming in person, come join us in person. All right, thanks.
All right.
Hi, everybody. See you next week.
What do we
It's just
do?
a
I don't know what to do with my
one-flapper.
hand.